What is up? Everybody, give me a second. Make sure that we all got this into MW. Welcome everybody to the another episode with me and Jeremy. We need to come up with a name for this show. It's like
Yes. Well,
me
by
and
next
Jeremy.
week we will have a name by next week.
Yeah, just me and Jeremy show up. Me and Jeremy show up. But yeah, I just shared the show to the group, but today we're gonna talk a little bit about a few things. Scottie Pippen's book Unguarded recently was released, and so
Book of
we're
Lies.
gonna
So I'm named that.
yeah, we're gonna talk about the reviews of or the I guess the tour that he's been on, and continues to go on to promote the book. Some of the things that were written in the book, whether or not they were true or
he's
not.
getting he's getting slammed for that too. That's what he's getting slammed.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. And also, um, posted a bunch of verses today, and over the week. When I say verses, I do. Everybody knows I do the show, Card Chaos Live, and that's where I I shuffle my NBA cards to create one-on-one matchups that we
Yeah.
may or may not have seen. Any player, any position, any era, anything goes.
Mhm.
And this week I put up a few that
Yeah, I saw a
turned out
couple,
to
but
be
I couldn't comment on because I'm in Facebook jail.
is Facebook jail. But so we'll talk about a couple of those. I had um Pippen versus Kevin Durant, and so it'll be cool to see or hear what Jeremy has to say about that. Uh, we had something spontaneous that came out of a debate that I saw on another page, which is Klay Thompson versus Ginobili, one on one. Who you think would win? And the last one I posted today was Marbury versus CP3.
Ooh, you can
Um,
see that one.
who who you think would win one on one. So I have my personal picks.
Brooklyn.
No, but you see, some
Yeah.
people are not feeling that.
Mm.
So I'm gonna see what you say and then share my feelings about that, and then we call it a show. But uh Jeremy, you've seen a couple things.
Mhm.
We both haven't read the book, but we're gonna do that by next episode. But
Mhm.
you've seen a few excerpts. You've
Yes.
seen some interviews.
Oh yeah.
What can you say about Scottie Pippen's book
Ooh,
Unguarded?
the Book of Lies. Now I understand Scotty's trying to sell books. Like Charles Barkley said, he's big game hunting. And just reading some of the excerpts that's coming out online, and I feel like Scotty is basically bringing up stuff that was thought of in 1988, 1989, and 1990 that's coming out in this book. And he's making it sound like this was going on during the second three-peat.
Ah, interesting.
Mhm.
So you
Like
think he's a little bit confused about something? Like you think he's conflating just for drama? What do you think this is about?
mixture of both. I know why he's in his feelings. One, because of the Last Dance, and in the other group that I was debating people in, and someone was like, "Oh, that's Scotty's truth." I'm like, "How is this Scotty's truth? If you read the Jordan Rules, you would know that this stuff was said 30 something years ago. This isn't new. It's new to the new generation." So I brought up three facts. Number one, did Scotty signed that bad contract when he was warned by the team owner, basically by his boss,
Mm-hmm.
told him not to sign it, and he signed it. Wasn't that Scotty's fault? Yes, it was.
Yes.
Did Scotty Game 3, 1994 NBA semifinals versus the New York Knicks? They was down 0-2 with 1.8 seconds left, and Phil Jackson designed a play for Tony Kukoc.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it Scotty who sat out
Yeah.
because the play wasn't for him?
Yeah.
1997, after they won their fifth championship, wasn't it Scotty who waited to the start of the 1997-1998 NBA season, decided to take surgery so he won't lose his summer? Wasn't that
Right.
Scotty?
That
So
was Scotty.
how is that Jordan's fault? How is it Jordan's fault? That's what I want to know. How is it Jordan's fault? Now, these Jordan haters slash LeBron fans, because I'm noticing a trend, a pattern between these two, and now all of a sudden they Scottie Pippen fans.
Yeah. 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 You know.
And they was like, "Oh, Scotty said that LeBron is the GOAT." Well, Scotty also said LeBron ain't better than him until he wins 6 rings. Scotty also said, and I think this was just last year, um, he would not put LeBron over Jordan or Kobe. But now all of a sudden, LeBron's your GOAT because he's all butthurt because of
Mhm.
what we saw in the last dance. It's funny.
Yeah. He's doing what he can to.
And he's selling
I,
bourbon too. Remember that? He's selling bourbon.
he's selling bourbon.
Mhm.
Called Digits, by the
Yes.
way. Not that I'm a big bourbon fan, but
But it
I'm a
should be titled Lies. This is lies.
I'm a I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the spirits and liquors.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if I'm gonna try that one per se, but like, he's expanding his ranges of income. Um,
As he should.
as
Jordan got a tequila. Tequila is out, which I heard is
oh,
good.
which Jordan? What's the tequila that Jordan has?
I forgot, but I will have the name for you by next week. It's
Mm.
out. It's out. It came out, I believe, last year. I forgot, but I will have the name for you by next week.
Okay, give me a second.
It's
Uh,
out. It's out. It came out, I believe, last year.
okay, so
Find
I
it.
think for next episode we need to
Discuss that? Yes.
discuss and sample. Let's see if we
Yes,
can
if you
find
can find it. Yeah. Find it.
we can find it. Okay, so um Scottie Pippen can't make up his mind on whether or not LeBron is better than Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Um is Scottie Pippen better than LeBron?
Well, if you ask LeBron's fans, they'll be like, no. Uh, I don't think Scottie Pippen is better than LeBron. LeBron is a better scorer.
Okay.
I would say Scotty is maybe slightly better defender. I don't buy the BS that LeBron could guard all 5 positions because LeBron is not guarding a Shaq or a Patrick Ewing.
But Is Pippen guarding Shaq or Patrick Ewing?
No, not
So
at
I
all.
mean,
Neither is LeBron. But the whole thing that, guarding all 5 positions, I'm like, maybe in this soft era, but this position is basketball, right?
right,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
right, right. So the reason why I asked that is because Pippen says he's inferring that he may be better than Jordan,
Of course,
right? So
because
if
he's hurt.
if Pippen
It's
is
not
better
according
than
to rankings.
Jordan, if Pippen is better than Jordan, then
We use
Pippen
that
has
term
to be
later.
better than LeBron, right?
Exactly. Oh, they won't like that one.
I just
They're not
just
gonna like
I'm
that one.
just trying to use
Hypothetically,
logical reasoning.
yes.
Mm, 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 mm. Um, so one of the one-on-ones I had was one-on-one LeBron versus Pippen. Who would you pick in a one-on-one battle between LeBron and Pippen?
I'm picking LeBron. Picking LeBron. LeBron is a better player than Scotty. A better scorer. Because I was watching this video. I forgot to send it to you.
Mm.
Colin Cowherd. He has beef with what Pippen was saying in the book too, and he was like, "Scotty, you was never that go-to player. You was never a 1A. You were a 1B, a 1B player. When you had the chance to be the man in '94, you sat out because the play wasn't designed for you. Will Michael Jordan sit out of a play? No, he wouldn't.
I mean, no.
Kobe sit out on a play? No, he wouldn't. I can't think of any superstar, and I'll even go further back. I'll bring up Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. I'll even go up to the modern era, um, like Dwayne Wade, Reggie Miller. Are you seeing any star player on their team sitting out in the last seconds of a game, even
Yeah,
to play
I get you. I get you. It
yeah,
was a poor choice. It's a
in the
irrational thing
playoffs?
to do. He wasn't thinking
Hmm.
straight. He
And
was
then let's talk about the following season. I know I got to touch back a little bit last week on this, and I was letting someone have it in the other group when they keep bringing up this magical 1993 1994 season. I'm like, Chicago does not get credit for winning 55 games.
mm,
Okay, so they won two less games than the year before when Jordan was there.
right.
What about 92 when they won 67 games? So that tells me they dropped off 14 games in a span of 2 years.
Yeah.
And the reason why they won 55 games because that roster was already built around Jordan, and Jordan retired
Yeah.
2 weeks before the season started. This is what people is forgetting.
Right.
In the younger generation, they just don't know.
Right.
We that era, and I remember it like it was just yesterday. That was like the biggest shock,
Yeah.
one of the biggest shocks of the NBA season. But what happened the following year, 1994-95 season, when Horace Grant left for Orlando, Bill Cartwright retired, John Paxson retired.
Mm,
Chicago picks up Ron Harper. And I remember when I found out they picked up Ron Harper just came from averaging 20 with the Clippers. So I'm like, oh yeah, Chicago has a starting shooting guard. You
right.
could put Pete Myers on the bench. What happened? Harper was injured. Chicago
Right.
was average. They was mediocre. Now, if Scottie Pippen is better than Jordan, why couldn't the great Scottie Pippen put Chicago in the top three in the Eastern Conference? They was on the bottom. They
Right.
was they was barely a 500 team until Jordan decided to come in, come back from baseball, and they
Right.
went for the last 17 games, and they went 13-4. They would have never did that if it was just Pippen. To be honest with you, they probably would have went 7 out of 7. They probably would have went 500 the rest of the way, and
Right.
maybe dropped to the seventh seed.
Yeah, you're right. That time was an opportunity for Pippen to show that he
And he
was.
collapsed. What about the
Yeah.
video when he threw the chair on the court? And you know who was there? Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was in that game, and
Yeah.
I remember that. I mean, that game was on. I think that game was on TBS. So the great Scottie Pippen, he was self destruction when he had the chance to be the man. He showed us he can't handle that.
Yeah. I wanna skip to the thing that we were talking about before the
Mhm.
show when he was saying about his transition from the Bulls to the Rockets, right? Was it Bulls to
Mm.
Rockets?
Yeah,
And
both
uh
Rockets, one
yeah,
year,
and then
Portland.
his discovery about the state of his teammates, his pretty much roasting of the Dream and Charles
Charles
Barkley.
Barkley.
So he basically said that Hakeem Olajuwon was washed up,
pretty
right?
much. Mhm.
And that Charles Barkley didn't really care about basketball.
The shape.
Um, so what are your thoughts on what he said, right? Is there any truth to it?
Well, what I'm don't cry over spilled milk, because what was Scotty was in a winning organization, but what did he care about? He cared about money. Now, he's not the main reason why Chicago broke up, because it's deeper than that. Because it all started with Phil Jackson. Well, actually, this started with Jerry Krause,
Right, right.
and I wish Jerry Reinsdorf had stepped in, but he didn't want to step over Krause, even though he's Krause's boss. He really wanted to sit back and let Krause, do what he do. And Scotty was letting it be known, about this whole money situation. And he was told when he signed that contract in '91, we're not gonna talk about this. You're gonna play out your contract. And at
Mhm.
that time, Scotty was like, yeah. He signs it, but then you're bitching about it later that same season. You're still complaining about it after you was warned.
Right.
Well, that's on you. That's not Jordan. And then, people will say, oh, why didn't Jordan do this? Jordan said that they all adults. They're grown men at the end of the day. Jordan was getting shortchanged too. And like it was stated in The Last Dance, while this was going on, during that season, and it wasn't mentioned in Last Dance, but it's mentioned the Jordan rules. Jordan was contemplating on leaving Chicago and playing in Europe, where
Yeah.
he was going to make 10 million a year, and he was going to have a chance to own a team, because he always was thinking next term. He always wanted, you know, a chance at ownership.
Right.
So when he
So
retired, he tried to buy into the Bucks. That didn't work. They blocked it. We all know what happened with the Wizards.
yeah. So let me get this straight. All right.
Mhm.
So, Pippen goes to Houston because you said money. He wants
Money.
a bigger
In Chicago, it had to be like a sign and trade or whatever. And Chicago helped him. Chicago helped him once they knew Phil Jackson wasn't coming back and Jordan was retiring. They did the sign and trade with Scotty, and that allowed Scotty to be able to make more money, and he was able to get that $67 million contract. So he goes to Houston,
hmm
because Houston. Cause remember, Clyde Drexler just retired. He retired in '98.
Oh, right, right, right. And after they won, right? In
Well, he won in '95 when he first
95.
came there, because he came shortly after the All-Star break. They
Okay.
won in '95, and then we didn't get that dream matchup in '96 and '97 when they got Barkley. They had the super team, even though granted they was a little bit older, because Barkley signed. He got traded in '96.
Gotcha.
Right after, I remember I just came back from Sam Perkins basketball camp that same day. I came back on a Monday night, and I'm watching ESPN. Charles Barkley is traded to Houston. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when by the time Pippen got there though, was he washed up? Like, what is
Pippen?
your
Well, I mean, he was just coming off, the bad back. Um, I wouldn't say he was washed up, but I think he's really undermining what playing under Chicago's system, what it did for his career.
right,
Now, before Phil Jackson came, we all know what Jordan did, winning MVP, scoring titles, and whatnot. Um, and Scotty didn't really get a chance to show what he could do until they was implementing that triangle offense. So once
right.
he got out of it, now you in a different situation. So okay, so even if you're saying that Elijah Wan was quote unquote washed up and Barkley was out of shape, but if you're that good, if you're saying you as good as a player as Michael Jordan, you should have still been able to carry the load. You would have been able to get as much out of those players.
Right, 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 right. So
That
again,
didn't materialize,
blaming people when he could have stepped up.
which he didn't, and he
Mhm.
only stayed for 1 year.
Oh, and then he went
He
to
went to
Portland?
Portland.
Yeah.
And Portland was stacked. They
Yeah.
had Rasheed Wallace, Arvidas Sabonis, Detlef Schrempf, Steve Smith,
Oh
Damon
yeah.
Damon Stoudemire. That roster was stacked, and they still didn't get it done. Now, of course, we know what happened in Game 7 versus the Lakers. That's controversial in itself. But what happened the following years? Portland never made it back to the conference finals.
Mm,
Because then you had a team, the Sacramento Kings, rose and was LA's next formidable challenge, and the Spurs.
right, 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 right. So yeah, a second opportunity never got
Mhm.
to come
Never
through.
got.
Um, do you? I mean, we've said it in the last show, but do you think that Pippin's just this whole anchor is misguided? And what could it
Very,
be?
very much so. I think it's what it is. Like what I said before, the younger generation, we already knew what happened. The younger generation is now they got to see the they know about the bad contract. They heard about Scotty, quitting on the team. They heard about the surgery at the beginning of the season. The younger generation really didn't know about that. So what are you mad about Jordan when Jordan was just basically telling you, okay, this is what happened? And
Mhm.
I didn't get the point where he was saying that Jordan was basically making everyone else look bad and made him put himself on a pedestal. I was like, how? Basically, when you talk about Chicago's history, you're gonna talk about Michael Jordan, and then everyone
Right.
else follows. Then it's Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant, who was there before Phil Jackson came. And then when
You
Phil Jackson,
know, I think what we need to do is find out if we have friends that are psychologists.
well,
Because I think, huh?
I'm a psych major.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you can break this
not just one
down.
psych.
There is
Former
some kind of
athlete, psychology major. Yes, I'm
yeah,
also talented.
there's some kind of psychological aspect to this because I'm not I hate to say that people, even though I've been trolling the whole time with Scotty too. And I
Mhm.
love me some Scotty. I was ride or die Scotty
Yeah, I know
for
when we was arguing, what was it
yeah,
last year
yeah.
about saying Scotty was better than Barkley?
Yeah.
Might
I
have
was
to
team
bring that. Might have to bring that back up.
we just might have to bring it back up. I was team Scotty the whole way. But I feel like I've seen some things like this in the real world where
Mhm,
like you're part of a team and you know your role. And your role is not the lead, but some people really really don't like the fact that they aren't acknowledged for the work they put in. And
mhm,
to be honest, they're not wrong. Like um some people should get more credit than they are.
mhm,
And then a l- I think there's a level though, right? Where you have to know that hey, this person is a lead. He he is pretty good and is leading the team and he is the face of the team. Some people aren't not okay with that, but they wish
mhm,
they believe they should get more credit. I think Scottie Pippen does deserve the credit that he should get or has gotten. I feel like we've all given him a lot of credit over the years. He
mhm.
is one of the 75 um top oh no, he was the NBA top 50 before it got to even 75, right?
Yes,
So like
and some people was shocked at that he made it in top 50.
yeah, but I mean, I think he deserved it.
I think so
But
too.
yeah, I think he deserved it. But what more do you want?
I
Right?
think it is with him. I think it's okay. I've said this before. Stars get all the credit and all the blame
Mhm.
when when Chicago won it. Jordan won 6 championships. When the Bulls couldn't get past Detroit, it was Jordan couldn't get past Detroit.
Hmm.
When when LeBron lost to the Mavs, it wasn't LeBron, D Wade, Chris Bosh lost to the Mavs. It was LeBron that lost to the
Right.
Mavs. When LeBron beat when the Cavs beat Golden State 2016, it wasn't LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert beat the Warriors. No, it was LeBron came back from 3-1 deficit. That's
Right.
just what it is. That's just how it is.
Right. But he can't take that, and that to me, that's a psychological thing, and
Yeah.
again, I don't want to say that it's wrong to not it's wrong to want the credit that you deserve.
But
I
he
want to
gives
say
credit.
that I just want to categorize what this type of person is, and then let's pull back and look at the greater picture in that, yo, we're talking about 21 years ago.
Yeah, Chicago won their
20
last championship, uh, 98,
tw-
20, 23
25
years
years
ago.
ago.
Or 23
Tw-
years.
23 years ago.
Mhm.
And it still hurts him this much.
When you go back, the last video I sent you before we came
Yeah.
on the air, and that's when they just won their fifth, and Jordan pulls brings in Scotty and tells Scotty, "You my MVP." And when Ahmad Rashad is interviewing him, and Jordan said, "If you're gonna mention Michael Jordan, you got to mention Scottie Pippen. He could have not done it without him. I'm gonna take the trophy. He could get the car."
Right.
So Jordan acknowledged. That's not the first time Jordan acknowledged Pippen. It's like, what else does Scotty wants Jordan to say? Oh, I could have never
Right.
did without you. Or do we want? Does he want people to start looking at him as the same light like we have Jordan and Kobe and LeBron and KD? He's not that player. And I'm a big Scottie Pippen fan. But
Right.
Scottie Pippen, and this may be controversial, Scottie Pippen was not the best small forward in the late 90s. It was Grant Hill.
Oh, oh,
Grant Hill was better than Scottie Pippen.
oh.
He just had no heart rate.
You believe that Grant Hill was better than Scottie
Oh,
Pippen?
yeah. Grant Hill will cook Scottie.
I don't know, dog. I don't
And
know.
when Grant Hill first came into the league, what was he dubbed as? The next Jordan, right? Was Scottie Pippen ever dubbed the next Jordan?
But that's because Grant was on another team. You
Mm,
can't have two Jordans on one team. You can't.
okay, but when Jordan retired, was they saying Scotty? They say, oh, he's the heir apparent because he's the just happened to be the best player on the team. He's inherited, but never once did the league look at Scottie Pippen like, okay, you're gonna carry the league into the future. No, but they was trying to do that with Grant Hill, and Grant Hill was that dude. I think what it is sort of like Grant Hill falls into the category of Penny Hardaway. Who did you see what he said? That Penny said he felt like he was one of the best players to ever do it.
Right.
He's talking about his snub, and one player that stuck up for him was Tracy McGrady.
Hmm.
Tracy McGrady was a big Penny Hardaway fan. That's the reason why he wore number one.
Oh,
And
okay.
what it is, injuries prevented Hardaway, because that was my second favorite player growing up. It was Jordan, then it was Penny Hardaway.
Right.
And injuries robbed him because he only had like those good 4 years. Grant Hill was the man in Detroit, but by the time he got to Orlando, and by then that's when he had the broken ankle, which he didn't even know, his career went downhill from there. So we didn't even get to see Grant Hill. Like, he was just getting into his prime.
Right. But
The only
could
thing that
could
Scottie
could,
Pippen
could
was
Grant Hill
better,
defend Pippen?
well, this is what I was about to say. Grant Hill is a better offensive player than Scottie is. Scottie is a better defensive player than Grant Hill.
Right, but
Grant Hill is quicker.
doesn't defense wins games?
When you going to watch a basketball game, are we coming to watch defense or are we coming to watch offense? What we
I'm
doing?
just saying one on one requires defense. So,
Exactly.
maybe I'm reverting back to my pro Scotty days, my team Scotty from
I mean, it's a fact.
Barkley versus Scott.
If
Like,
yeah, because I know the younger generation and people who really don't know basketball, like they will go to basketball reference and then look at a couple of stats and then they'll try to make the assumption like right then and there, which I'm gonna bring up when we go to our next topic.
hmm,
I've got info that's gonna surprise you on this Klay Thompson, Manu Ginobili.
okay.
But as far as I stand by my statement, Grant Hill is a better one-on-one player than Scotty. Grant Hill never had the opportunity to play with a player like a Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen did.
Mm,
So by the time, the younger generation, like the millennials, the 2000 babies, the 90s and 2000 babies, by the time they got to see Grant Hill was basically a shell of his former self playing on Phoenix. And then he ended his career with the Clippers.
right. Um,
From his Detroit Piston days, where he was crossing and dunking on everybody. And one of those players was Scotty, crossed the shit out of Scotty. He caught Jordan too. He caught Jordan too. See, I'm not biased. He caught
oh man.
Jordan.
Listen, I think it's close.
I
I'm
didn't say it was
still
like a landslide. I just said that Grant Hill was a better player than Scotty, but Scotty had the better career. He has the hardware, he has the accolades, but skill wise, if we put in prime Scotty and prime Grant Hill is going to cook prime Scotty.
okay. Well, TBD on this.
Yeah.
You I'm reverting back to my team Scotty days, even though I'm hella mad at him for like going through
Yes.
this whole unguarded thing.
Me too.
But let's start to segue into the next topic,
Mhm.
which is Klay Thompson versus
Manu
Manu
Ginobili.
Ginobili.
Yes.
So I'll tell you how this came about. So,
Which I'm curious to know why. Uh,
um, there was a poll in another group where they were comparing the career of Ginobili to Tony Parker, and they said who had the most impact and during their career
mm,
on their team.
yeah.
And the group, which wasn't ours, which isn't 2MW, was really voting in favor of Manu Ginobili.
Mm,
And I was kind of taken aback because Tony Parker does have a quite solid uh
One MVP
history,
too in '07.
yeah, run MVP and everything. But the team the group genuinely believed that or genuinely was voting in favor of Ginobili.
Mm.
And during that, I just stepped in the thread. Old Trisha steps in the thread because I've changed, I've grown,
Mm.
I've retired my troll cape. But
Uh, I
Trisha
think I
comes in
found it. I was trolling. It's fun
um
too. This is it, when you think you get when you reach your absolute lowest, go lower.
yeah. uh I stepped into the thread and said, why would you pick a person that has six-man responsibilities ahead of starter responsibilities? And how I got pushed back from that, and people didn't really like that at all. But then I started to think, who else has this kind of aura where they are not well, they're not,
Six man.
he's a star, but like, um I feel like he's getting a lot more accolades than he deserved, and it was Klay Thompson. So I said, which one of
Mm.
these two?
So that's how it started.
Yeah, I'm like, if A equal B, B equals C, right? So, in your opinion, Klay versus Ginobili, who
Mm.
wins?
Are we talking? Are we talking 1-on-one, or are we talking like who's more valuable to their team? Play to the Warriors
Let's
and
do
Ginobili to the
let's do
Spurs.
both. Let's do
Both.
one on one, and then let's do who's more valuable to their team.
Okay. So um, I went and did a little research on this. One, they similar in size. Ginobili 6'6", and Klay Thompson is about what, 6'7". They both weigh about the same.
Oh,
Um,
really? Mm.
mhm. And going when you go down their career accomplishments, Ginobili accomplished way more than Klay Thompson, and I'm tell you right now. Now, when you pull up their NBA stats, right? Um, Ginobili numbers, it doesn't. When you first look at it, is not Hall of Fame worthy, but
Right.
he is going to the Hall of Fame because for his career, he averaged 13.3 points,
Hmm.
3.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists. His best season, he averaged 19.5. So he never averaged 20 points for a season.
Right.
Klay Thompson, on the other hand, is a career 19.5 on points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Now, when we talk about accomplishments, I'm going to start with Ginobili first. He's a 4-time NBA champ, 2-time All Star, 2-time NBA third team, NBA sixth man in 2008, made the NBA rookie second team.
Hmm.
Now go to his European career. He had his in Argentina. His number 5 is retired. He won EuroLeague champ. He was EuroLeague champ MVP. He was EuroLeague first team. He was Italian League champ. 2-time Italian League MVP. 2-time Italian Cup winner. Italian Cup MVP. Italian steals leader. 3-time Italian All Star. He's also won the Italian dunk champion
Oh,
championship.
really?
Mhm. 2-time Olimpio de Oro, FIBA America Cup MVP, and
I
he
didn't
was
know he was
also
Italian. I heard
no.
that. I didn't know
He
you were half
has
Italian.
no. He's born in Argentina, but he has Italian descent, so that's how he was able to play
Mm.
for the Italian
I
Olympics.
said I didn't know you were Italian. You had the
Um,
little you were
oh
doing the rolls, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't
no,
know Jeremy."
well, I love Italian food, so
Oh, you love Italian food. That's where it came from. Okay.
and then as far as Klay Thompson, 5-time NBA All Star, 3-time champ, 2-time NBA third team, NBA defensive second team, NBA first rookie team. Now, when you put the accomplishments side, Ginobili blows him out the water.
Right.
But if you put the
So,
NBA careers together, Klay Thompson has a slightly edge over him.
okay. So, accomplishments wise, Ginobili
This is
surpasses
where we're
him.
going. Yes,
Um, Statistics wise, it's Clay,
yes.
but one on eh, what do
One on
you
one,
one on one?
game 21, going by ones.
Yes.
We playing in the park, 1-on-1, where
Yes.
everything is one.
Yes.
Um, I think Ginobili will probably beat Thompson if we going under that. Now, if we're playing, you know, threes or twos, we do it in that way. Klay might win that one, and the reason why I think Ginobili would be who could probably beat Klay is just for the simple fact of how he plays. Ginobili also his favorite player was Michael Jordan. I didn't know that.
Oh.
I know that. So remember how when we watched him play, he plays with reckless abandonment. He's slashed into the basket. He could shoot, but he slashed into the basket. Klay Thompson, he's gonna do that too, but he's more of like a spot up shooter. He's
Right.
like a he's like a
He is a
modern day
spot
Reggie
up
Miller.
shooter. He
Modern
is a
day
spot up
Reggie
shooter.
Miller. Yeah.
Don't disrespect Reggie Miller like that. He wasn't like I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I mean, I think that you're right. I'm picking Ginobili. I think that Klay Thompson is a spot up shooter. I think that he also benefits a lot more
In
from
this era,
his teammates
he's playing with
being
Curry.
well, yeah, he's played with Steph Curry, and Draymond Green and other people. I want to know what his stats were when KD was there too. Must have taken a leap as well because I think he plays with less pressure
Yeah, well,
on
because
him.
when KD was there, he was basically the third option.
Right, right. And so that's number one. Number two is that like one on one requires you to create your own shot. And I don't care what people say. I don't think his handle is as strong as
Ginobili,
people would want to mentally think. Klay Thompson.
yeah.
I'm not thinking about him creating his own shot. I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of his points are don't. I almost said something disrespectful. A lot of his shots and points are residual. The residual effect of having a Klay Thompson, I mean, having a Steph
Steph
Curry
Curry.
and other shooters that people are worried about on their team. I feel like he gets his points
Mm,
because opponents are and coaches would say, "Listen, I would rather you have Clay beat me
then
than beat me with Steph." So they're willing to sacrifice that.
mm,
Um, and while I'm getting out there and airing out the dirty laundry, I just think that Clay has a lot of bad games that people ignore. I think
yeah.
he's just
We
genuine.
ignore the bad games and glorify the good games,
Right,
unless you're LeBron James, where we magnified those bad games, like scoring 8 points in the NBA Finals.
right. Yeah. So I think that Clay.
And that's not a knock. That's not a disrespect to Clay. He benefit a lot under the system that he plays, but the same can be said about Ginobili. He benefited playing under Greg
True,
Popovich
true,
and the Spurs. But
true.
if you look what he accomplished outside the NBA, you could debate that too.
Is Golden State a better team if they swap Ginobili
Mm.
and Clay?
If they was under Mark Jackson, yes. Under this era, no.
Interesting. Other way around. If the Spurs swap Ginobili with Clay Thompson, are they a better squad and do they win as much?
I would say better squad, yes, because I don't recall San Antonio having that 3 point threat like a Clay Thompson. No one remotely close.
Mm. So
And
maybe
I'll go further back, like maybe what Mario Ellie, when they had Steve Kerr, Robert Ory, the luckiest six man.
on the face of the
To play with Shaq, David Robinson, Kobe, and Tim Duncan your entire career. No wonder he got seven.
yeah, he should. Yeah, he is the luckiest. It's like
I
I
remember
don't
when they
know how you
compared him to
get that,
Scottie
but
Pippen. They was comparing him to
right.
Scottie Pippen his that year when they won their first championship. It was a comparison before he gained the weight.
Um. So last question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since we're on the one on ones, and we're still on Pippen.
Mm.
Pippen versus Kevin Durant, one on one.
I thought we got to do a Marbury and CP3.
We could. Um, but just really quickly, Pippen versus KD. Who you picking?
KD
Ooh,
because
why?
KD, um if we're talking about scores,
Hmm.
top five scores ever to play this game, KD's top five.
Okay.
Because the other scores that I'm putting in there with KD, Jordan, Chamberlain, Kobe, and I'm gonna put Allen Iverson in there too.
So I'm picking
Yeah,
Pippen.
T Mac. Honorably mention T Mac.
I'm picking Scottie Pippen. Right.
Body over KD.
Yes I am. And this is again, remember, I'm
Pro
still
Pippen.
coming off the team Pippen Barkley. Maybe this is a little bit of
Mm,
delirium from that, but I do believe that Scottie Pippen would beat Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant, again, to win one-on-one, you need to be able to create your own shot.
which
I
K
I don't trust Kevin Durant's handling. I know he could
D.
dribble up the court. Great.
Yeah.
But man, like, if he had to do a crossover to get by Scottie Pippen, like, I don't see it happening.
Well, he
But
doesn't necessarily have to. He doesn't necessarily have to do a crossover to get by Sky Pippen. You can always back him down. Now there's ways. If you're a baller, you're gonna find a way to score. Like yeah, Pippen is a great defender. He has the reach or whatever. Durant could still shoot over him, and Durant could score pretty much anywhere on the court. Whereas, who you trusted more, shooting wise, Scotty or KD?
I'm trusting Kevin
KD.
Durant as a shooter in a vacuum, but like the defense that Pippen has, I think that he would his reach alone, and not to say that Kevin Durant doesn't play against players with long
Mhm.
wingspans,
Yeah.
but I think that was a major plus about having Scottie Pippen play the role he played in Chicago,
Mhm.
as a defender. And I think that Kevin Durant would have his hands full.
Yeah, he would.
Now
I
I
wouldn't say
think,
it wouldn't be easy, but
yeah,
really 101 because the way that Durant could score and he makes it look like so easy.
yeah,
I don't see Scotty. You could probably try to slow like great scorers. Like you don't stop a Jordan, you don't stop Kobe, you don't stop KD. You only hope to slow them down or contain them.
correct. You're right. It'll be a good game, but
Yeah.
I'm a pinch petty. I'm a pinch petty and still a little bit Team Scotty, so it comes out. I can't hold it back. I'm still angry, still
Mm.
going through some issues with the Kevin Durant leaving OKC thing, and
Uh,
I still
it was
muscle
a simple
memory
move on
Team
his part.
Pippen, right? So so the last one, Marbury versus CP3,
101.
1-on-1.
Now, I want everyone to know. I don't want them to get confused. If I'm a general manager and I have a choice to pick these 2 point guards to build a franchise with, I ain't picking CP3.
Okay, okay.
If these two were supposed to play 1-on-1, I'm picking Marbury. Stephon Marbury was the truth. For those who don't know, and I may be a little biased because it is a Brooklyn connection. You know, he's out from Coney Island. You know, he played in Lincoln High School. He played his 1 year at Georgia Tech. He was the fourth pick in the draft in '96. He was part of that famed draft class with Iverson and Kobe and Ray Allen and Sharif Abdul-Rahim and Steve Nash, Antoine Wall. Yes, he was part of that
Right.
draft. And a lot of people forget how good he was. But, over the years, now when I think of Stephon Marbury, I think of him eating Vaseline on Instagram and
Right.
him going to China and stuff like that. But Marbury was that dude because I remember they used to be like in the '90s, late '90s. I remember like when I was playing in FYA and I'm going to playing in parks and stuff like that. And I remember they used to be dudes used to have heated conversations, heated debates. Who's better, Iverson or Marbury?
Mhm.
Can Marbury take Iverson?
That's true. There was a
It was debate.
conversation around that, and that is a tough one. Back then, that
Because Marbury could score. He could flat out score. And then when you look at his numbers, because I actually forgot about it. I follow him on Instagram and he put up a post. And when he broke it down, like point guards averaging 20 points a season, he had more. He
Mm.
had a lot of your favorite point guards. He had a lot. And I was like, wow. At first I thought he was lying, and I went and checked it myself. I was like, he's actually telling the truth. But
Yeah.
he's a forgotten player because of when he paired up with Kevin Garnett. And I mentioned it like whenever people try to bring up about the expansion era, and on Monday too, one of the people I was going to, I was like, y'all acting like these expansion teams prevented other teams from winning. So why is it when Chicago won their championship, okay, it's the expansion era, but y'all don't dare say that when the Houston Rockets won. They don't dare say that when the Spurs won their first championship in that shortened season. They don't dare say that about the Lakers, because who won the following year? When Chicago won in '98, the next two teams to win was the Spurs and the Lakers.
Right.
And no one ever says expansion era.
That's
Why
true.
not?
That's true.
Because of the hate, because Chicago was so dominant. Those
Yeah.
expansion teams wasn't preventing nobody from winning championships. And look who they was getting. The Orlando Magic had Shaq and Penny. The Orlando Magic went to the finals. And if anything, the Orlando Magic probably would have won the finals if Nick Anderson didn't choke in game one.
Let's leave Nick Anderson alone.
the
Have we found
Miami
him
Heat,
yet?
the Miami Heat
Yeah.
in '97 had the second best record in the East. The Charlotte Hornets had multiple 51 seasons. The Minnesota Timberwolves had two up and coming players who later will be in the Hall of Fame: Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, you bring up
And
some.
Toronto had Damon Stoudemire, T Mac. They wind up getting Vince Carter. They wind up getting Chris Bosh. I mean, they all didn't play together at the same time, but just imagine if they did.
Right. I mean, you bring up some great points.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't disagree here. Like, I'm picking Marbury, um,
One on one.
one on
And
one.
I want people to know, if I'm building a team, yes, CP3 is the better point guard, but we're talking about one on one. Marbury is going to cook CP3. He's a better
Yeah.
scorer.
Better
Much less
scorer,
good.
a better handle, better.
Marbury was the truth. He was that dude. It's just that I think people pay too much to stats, and they don't do the eye test, or they don't see these type of players. So all they could go is by going on Basketball Reference and then look at their stats and then try to, then you try to come up with an assumption that, oh, this player was good or this player was bad. Like, I'm gonna say a random player right now who was nice in his era, Kiki Vandeweghe.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But
That's a
yeah,
little old school.
old school, old school. But yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
I think that also what's impactful on how people perceive Stephon Marbury are the antics that happen near the end of his play in the US, and I think
He was
those
on Boston.
yeah,
He was in Celtics.
yeah, those events kind of
Ruined his career.
overshadow.
Because he did his thing as Phoenix.
Yeah.
When they had because remember when he was in New Jersey and they did the trade for Jason Kidd. That's how Jason Kidd wound up in New Jersey.
Hmm.
And then during that first year, the Nets go to the finals while the Suns were struggling, to win it. But they had a nucleus. They had Sean Marion and they had one of my favorite players, Amari Stoudemire.
Right. Right.
And they had a washed up Penny Hardaway.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, there maybe we should read Unguarded. It's a 9.
Yeah.
I have Audible.
Yeah, you
So
good luck. Listen to 9 hours.
I will be able to finish this book in a couple of days.
I'm gonna go rush out tomorrow. I'm gonna go out tomorrow and try to get
it. Get the book, and we're gonna do all Unguarded next week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, before I need y'all. Do yourself a favor. Get this book. Everything that is in Guarded is in here.
Yes,
This
Jordan
was like
rules.
30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So get that book, get Unguarded. We're gonna do an Unguarded episode next week.
Mhm.
And we'll let's also cover some of the things that you just brought up with Marbury. Let's take it back in the past and during this week, let's cover some of the highlights that Stephon Marbury
Mhm.
had and start looking at the great point guards of the 90s and see
Oh, yes.
how
That's
we can rank them.
yes, because another one of my favorite players, Kenny Anderson from
Yeah.
Queens. That's another
So
one.
let's come up with our top 10 point guards of the
The
90s.
90s. Of
And
course, John Stockton. Does Magic qualify because he was there in 1990 and 91?
no.
He won't count as 90s?
No, we're gonna count, we're gonna take him out.
We gotta leave out the Magic, man.
Leave him out. Listen, we gotta leave him out. Cause I know he was a point guard, but I still don't respect it.
Mm.
So
Damn,
yeah.
what Magic do to you?
Nah, I mean, I understand. He was a big point guard. But still like, he'll get number 1 based off of
What he
past.
did in the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't wanna do that. Let's just focus on 90s dominant.
90s dominant. I got a couple. I mean, I mentioned Penny Hardaway. He'll be my favorite. But another one, Mark Price. We don't get respect.
All right. So let's do this during from now till next week. Point guards that need respect.
Yes.
Right? And then we're gonna do our top 10 point guards of the
Mm,
90s. You come with your list, I'll come with my list,
got you.
and then we'll fight it out till the end.
Mm.
you know? All right. So, um yeah, so we're going to
Also,
end
we should get this book too.
Oh, what's that? Kevin Garnett's
Kevin Garnett's A to Z.
is when did that come out?
That came out I think earlier this year. I actually picked this book up in BJ's.
Okay.
Very
Gotcha.
interesting book. Very interesting book.
So we're gonna end it there, but this next week we're gonna do the top 10 point guards of the 90s. Pippen's book is out, it's Unguarded. So
Mhm.
everybody read. We're gonna pick up let's do the
Wow.
top three questionable things in that book
Mm.
and the top 10 point guards of the 90s, right?
Mm.
So um, with that said, I'm Trisha Joy. This is Jeremy. We have this show with no name, but it will have a name.
We'll have a name soon.
It will have a name soon.
And also
Thank.
we need to start back up this 2 minute warning video game.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I don't know if Will, you watching? Yes, I I'm coming for you and your son. Remember that aspect. I've been
yes. Oh my
training.
gosh, what a
Yes, I've
traumatic.
been training in the mountains. I haven't been heard or seen since that ass whooping.
What
I
a
am back.
traumatic. Everybody everybody had a traumatic 2020, and while the
Yeah.
rest of us were worried about COVID, like
Hmm.
Jeremy was being beat by like
A
9-year-olds
9-year-old, yes.
on on NBA 2K. So we need to fix that.
Mhm. That
We
is
need
wrong.
to we need you to get that closure you need to
Yes, very
move
much so. Do that.
to move on. And gain our reputation back. So
Mhm.
yeah, maybe we start with a tournament or a small like one-on-one um within 2MW, and hopefully we could get your mic working again.
Yeah, I
We
know
could,
we had like we was having like some
yeah,
technical
yeah, so we could work on the mic because I'd love to hear the trash talking involved in that. That is the only that is the goal. So
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, look,
let's
on top of it, I was playing 2K21, so I'm playing someone online, and I think the kid, I don't know why I keep running into kids, but he had to been like 13, and he's asking me all these questions, but he couldn't hear me through the mic. So I'm trying to concentrate. He's asking me questions like, "Oh, is that the GOAT Jordan? Is that the GOAT Jordan? No, 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 that's not the GOAT Jordan. Look what card I got." I'm like, "Kid, I'm just trying to play."
So we still haven't gotten the mic fixed. Do we need to buy another mic?
No, actually, I haven't tried that mic. That mic that came, I haven't tried it. But the headset worked.
Okay.
The
So
headset worked.
let's
We can
let's
try it
let's
on that.
let's do a practice run before next week, because I want you to play people in our group,
Yes.
and I want to hear the banter that comes from that. I
Mhm.
have
I will smoke y'all with
I
the
have
96
Steam.
Bulls.
I'm not very good at 2K. I just like to watch and commentate with
Mhm.
the three of you. So or the two of you playing. So let's try that. But I do have my gaming laptop right there. I just
Mm.
haven't done it.
I forgot who I played, and we damn, I'm trying to remember his name. Like he won by, I think it was by 1 point, when, remember, because we was having a connection problem on my end, and basically I had the last shot and my thing froze.
Oh yeah.
Next out of bounds, and he winds up winning.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
me too.
We had
You
so many
remember?
technical
Yeah,
difficulties. Like
I
either
know my connection is not the best.
your
You can see, look,
connection
look how
wasn't
blurry
great.
my screen look.
y- you weren't able to control the characters at the
Mhm.
players at some point. There's all types of excuses, Jeremy, and I'm
Yes, I
starting to
know.
wonder if it was real or if it was just
No,
like
Israel is beyond my control.
right. So let's try to warm that up. I'll find you an opponent in the group to play, and let's see if we can get something up for
Yeah.
like next week.
And I'm on PlayStation now. I've noticed that my connection seems to work better on the PS5 than it did on my Xbox. I don't know. Maybe Sony got it right and Microsoft didn't.
Okay. Well, we still gotta connect the OBS and everything to that. So
Yeah.
um let's try to work on that. Um I know well next week is Thanksgiving. So maybe we can have
We could maybe do like maybe a show on Tuesday or
yeah,
Wednesday or
yeah, yeah.
something.
Let's do something on Tuesday. And then hopefully over the Thanksgiving break at some point we try to figure out why like how to do the gaming, and then the following week we can
Mhm.
have you at least play once a week and win. You have to win, Jeremy. We
Oh,
can't
I'm winning. Oh, and
you,
I got my nephew is a
you
7-year-old nephew. Yeah,
you got a
might have to,
7-year-old nephew training you.
might have to bring him out.
You had to go Rocky style, get you a
Yeah,
7-year-old.
I got my own ringer, even though
Yeah.
he is 7.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week with some unguarded and some 90s point guard.
Book of Lies.
With
Book of
the
Lies.
book of lies, the book of lies. All